My name's Captain Oliver Tillard, so I'm a regional advisor here at the Defence Cultural Specialist Unit. So essentially we provide regional and cultural advice across defence to military planners, units looking to go abroad into various operational theatres or various parts of the world, whether it's Northern Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa or the Middle East. And as part of that role, we do a lot of presentations, but we also get the opportunity to get out into a lot of these countries to provide advice on the ground, but also to meet other militaries, governments, and people from those countries that we can either train and help, or that we can learn from in order to make our training of the guys back in the UK better. So I was fortunate enough to learn Arabic here. So when you arrive at this unit, you get 6 months of intensive language training, usually 3 months in the UK, and then 3 months immersion, living with a family in the country that relevant to your language. I did Arabic, so I did 3 months of Arabic in the UK and then went to live with a family in Jordan. And it was difficult, but it was an amazing experience. And to be able to get 6 months of language training at work, knowing you're then going to go and use that following your training, kind of gives you the impetus and the motivation to get through the tougher times. But you feel yourself getting better every single day, and then to go and use it with a family, living in Amman in Jordan was brilliant. Trying to learn a language as an older person was harder and made me wish that I'd probably made more of an effort at school and enjoyed those times. But actually, the French that I did at school, albeit I wasn't great at it, it definitely gave me a foundation and made learning Arabic the way I approached it, whether it's learning vocab, looking at your irregular verbs or whatever aspect it is, it definitely made it a lot easier and wasn't a complete thrown in at the deep end, here's a language and not know where to start. I knew Arabic was a difficult language, but it's actually once you start to learn it and once you start to get in, the fact that you can feel yourself improving every day, you look at it completely with a new set of eyes, I guess. Your approach to how you approach your own language is different. You get a better understanding of English. You get an understanding of how sentences are structured and why people say the things they do. And you can also see from a language how a culture has evolved and allows you to get under the skin of that culture and just get you a better understanding, whether it's the people, the country, the culture, or whatever aspect of that country you're trying to understand. If you can speak the language, you can speak to the people who don't necessarily speak English. You can speak to the people who do speak English but only want to tell you particular things in their language. You can understand what they mean, whether it's their slang words or certain phrases. But it also shows a willing from you to want to know them better. And I think if they see that you want to know about them more in their language, I think they're far more willing to speak to you, to give you information and kind of bring you on that journey. In general, there's a big push across the military to get people to learn languages, whether it's in a unit like this where actually having a language is kind of key to your job. But I mean, they've got people who, if you have a language, you can go and sit exams, get your qualification, and that's got held by the military, so they know what language qualifications they have across the board. I mean, across the military, I think absolutely, and especially as we go forward, I think there's going to be more and more engagement with foreign countries, different armies, and any element of the language is going to be really, really useful. Aside from the actual language skills, I think your own hard work, learning how to work better. I worked out pretty quickly what worked, what didn't work, the way I was learning my vocab, the way I was trying to listen to a language better, whether it be listen to radios or films or listen to people speak. I've taken what I've learned from learning Arabic into other parts of my working life, and I think it's probably made me far more efficient, and probably just showed me that I can work harder than I thought I could. I definitely, probably almost on a daily basis, find myself doing something because I honed that skill or learnt that skill from learning a language. I mean, because we learnt in such an intensive way, and if you didn't sit down that evening and go through your vocab or go through those verbs and learn them, you were going to struggle the next day. And if you struggled on Tuesday, by Friday, you were really far behind. And there was no time, we didn't have a huge sort of time to catch up, and we weren't going to have 4 weeks of leave. I'll go back over all of that. So it had to be every day. So it just made you stricter with yourself, more efficient, and just doing things better, I think. So I think anything is useful. Like even the tiniest bit, just your hello, goodbye, please, and thank you. But every single sort of phrase or bit of vocab is going to get you that little bit closer, get you that little bit further, whether you can, instead of saying hello to the taxi driver, you can say hello to the taxi driver, I want to go here and go left. Then he's going to speak to you, probably be nicer, probably be more interested in you. If it's, a meeting with some military personnel from a particular foreign military, immediately they're going to be warmer, more open, and probably more forthcoming. Living in a country for a period of time, I was lucky enough to do it for 3 months and then go to Iraq for 7 months afterwards. You see that how people behave in their own language is very different to how they behave speaking a second language. So we were working with two guys who were speaking Iraqi, and when they were speaking to each other, they would say things differently, they would act differently, and when they're speaking English, that's their sort of second language, and they're being maybe stricter, they're being more careful with what they say. So I think the language absolutely is part of the identity, and I feel part of that has come or rubbed off on me now. I wouldn't call myself an Arabist, but having some Arabic means that if I'm watching something and they're speaking Arabic, I'm immediately more engaged with that. If I hear people speaking Arabic, I can sort of hone in on that conversation, whether it's in sort of normal civilian life or in work life. Do it. Keep on. It's a massive regret of mine that I didn't work harder on my languages at school. I didn't carry it on past school. I was fortunate enough to get this opportunity, 10 years after leaving school, to come and revisit languages and get a good grounding in a language. And it's something I'm hugely grateful for. I'll take on for the rest of my life, and something I would say to everybody, just do it. You will see the benefits. So probably Ana Mutahamas, which just means I'm excited. And I said it as a joke in my first ever, my second lesson in Jordan. And she was like, oh, that's great. And I was like, well, actually, yeah, because every single day I loved going to the language lessons, and I loved just getting better every day. And it was kind of my go-to phrase after that.